Hello and welcome to the Dad and Buried podcast. We are back. My name is Mike, aka Dad and Buried, and joining me tonight for the first time in a little while is my lovely wife Heather, aka Mom and Buried. Both of us are crushing it. Both of us are crushing it on Instagram. Unlike my other co-host Pete, who does not have an Instagram account. He thinks he's cool.
Right.
He is the opposite of cool.
If you're not following me, follow me on Instagram, right?
Yeah, if you're not following Mom and Buried, you get kind of the sweeter side of the Buried clan, as well as a lot of shit talking about me, which I don't typically. Actually, I do. I feel like I do shit talk myself a fair amount, but in a different way that you do. And there's certainly plenty of people who like to shit talk me in my comments and in my DMs, and I often share those.
I think maybe yours is more covert. Mine is not subtle.
That's true. You're not a subtle person.
Subtlety is not my strong suit.
It is true. It is not her strong suit, which is going to come in handy tonight because the episode is this parenting-related stuff your spouse or partner does that drives you up the wall that you can't stand. That is crazy. Now, a lot of the responses I got were just flat-out marriage complaints. I've tried to narrow this down to just parenting complaints. And I also...
but wait. Can we have another, maybe 2 to 3 part episode of marriage complaints? Because I have thoughts.
So, that would be funny if I hadn't heard from 100 people saying that this should be a series. Because I asked the question before I posed the question with which to get comments. I asked if there was going to be enough, if people liked the topic and if there was going to be enough material for it. And they're like, oh my God, you could do 8 of these. But I do want to narrow it down to just parenting related stuff, even though there's plenty of both. Also, when I first posed the question, I posed it in a kind of a gender specific way where I said, is there anything you don't like that your husband does or your wife does? And, or, stuff moms and dads do that pisses you off. And somebody was like, why does this got to be a gender thing? So I changed it to partner.
That's right. True.
But that was true. I corrected it. I said, fair enough. This isn't about, gender stereotypes or even, mom-dad stereotypes. But then I got 9,000 comments from women bashing their male counterparts and about 7 comments from men. So I didn't do it. You people did it.
Then, to be fair, you have an 80% female following since you are the token dad god of Instagram.
Dad god. I'm not a token. There's tons of dads out there. Only one dad god. I appreciate that.
You're the OG. How about that?
I'm not even the OG, but it's 78%. I say how to be a dad is probably the OG, but
how 78% was that? I said 80. Good.
We've talked. Oh, please don't act like I haven't brought it up before. But the fact of the matter is that women are more vocal, at least more publicly vocal about the shortcomings of their partners, whereas men, I think, are more likely to vent in private to their guy friends, right? And I don't have any guy friends, so I never have a chance to bitch about you until tonight.
That's fair. You can just people on the street. Just give it a whirl.
People on the street.
You know what I think? You know what I think that we get the benefit of doing sometimes is because we're both on Instagram, we have our individual accounts. We kind of we might give each other shit, which is a benefit that I feel like a lot of just straight up mom bloggers or dad bloggers, I don't think they tend to do that. And maybe because it's not, it gives it a fun element.
They do it.
Meanwhile,
they do it. But because their partner's not on there, it just seems passive aggressive. But because you and I are both on there and we often tag each other in the shit we give each other, it's a little bit more healthy. And, we're entertaining people, bottom line.
We are. I'm entertaining myself a shit ton, to be honest.
I gotta say, though, I do think for the most part it's more fun to have feuds on Instagram than to actually have arguments in our living room.
Absolutely. I feel like it might be our therapy.
Well, if anything, we may not be getting the big bucks out of this, but we're certainly healing our relationship.
Free therapy.
One shit post at a time.
And so tonight we're going to get some healing in. Woo! Who's excited?
So recording this on Thursday night, Pete wasn't able to do it this week, and last week he had some technical difficulties, and we had a busy week this week. We had a meeting about trying to get our son into middle school in New York. It's like an application /lottery system. It's like trying to get your kid into Princeton.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
absurd.
Ivy League.
So that was our fun Wednesday night. And now we're doing this tonight. So I'm hoping this comes out soon, Friday this weekend, but I'm not entirely sure yet.
I don't think, no offense, I don't think anyone cares about that. But
well,
moving on.
Offense taken. I did get some wonderful messages this week after my little piece on Instagram about my frustration with ADHD, and a couple of people who I know listen to the podcast, and some people who hadn't heard it before, because I referenced that we did an episode about parenting a kid with ADHD, and a bunch of people said, literally somebody said it changed their life.
I have to say, I've had a couple messages from people, and I really loved hearing it, where they're like, wow, that just it snapped in my head.
Made something click for me, yeah.
Right. Maybe that there's something, where they're like, and now we're going to get evaluation. I feel like we've gotten between us a good handful of those. And I think that's so amazing. I mean, if you haven't heard the ADHD episode, you should check it out, even just to understand some other kids, in the world.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a bunch of my ADHD things into one of my highlights, which will include a link to the podcast. Right. And in fact, actually, I should have some of the podcast stuff in my highlights, but I've never done that because I'm not a smart man, as we've.
Yeah, no, I mean, marketing, man, promote, work with us.
So I forgot what else I was going to say,
Yes, right. We're awesome and we're changing lives, content. To summarize. Just don't go to that episode looking for actual advice.
Oh, no. So the thing I think that people appreciate a lot, and I did this on my stories yesterday because a lot of people asked me how I knew, how old was he when we first saw him. We talked about this on the episode. How old was he when we first noticed signs, and what were the signs we noticed? And I think what's really resonating to people is that the signs we noticed weren't necessarily the stereotypical ones people who aren't associated with the ADHD would consider to be red flags of ADHD. But, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Everything's a little different. So we talk about that a lot on the episode and my recent Instagram posts. And again, I'm going to make, at some point within the next 2 to 10 years, I'll make that a highlight on Instagram. I don't know when I'm going to get to that. I'll do my best. But tonight, we're not going to be complaining about how hard it is to raise a kid with ADHD. We're going to be complaining about each other.
Yay!
And the parenting bullshit each of us pulls, and that you, the listeners, you and your partners pull on each other. Predominantly women chiming in on this one, I've got to say.
Did you choose this topic because it's my birthday and it's like a gift for me? Because it was my birthday this week?
No, I didn't. I chose the topic because I was talking to somebody about fantasy football, or we were with our friends, and our friend's wife was like, oh, do you do fantasy football too? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, what do you think? The only thing your husband and I have been talking about this entire time. And she just kind of rolled her eyes. And I was like, oh, yeah, women or wives hate when their husbands talk about fantasy football. It's like telling somebody about your dream. It's absolutely meaningless to them. And
yes, that I would say. But I have to say, of my long list of complaints, it's really low at the bottom. It's really low.
You're going to have your chance to shine and lay out your hierarchy of things you hate about me as a parent, not as a spouse, as a parent and a parenting partner.
We're going to have to get back to that at another time. I think the people need it. The people demand to hear that their relationship is not as crazy as they think.
Look, this is the Dad and Buried podcast, not the Mom and Buried podcast. So I'll tell you what the people demand, okay? We'll be right back after this. All right, welcome back to the Dad and Buried podcast. As we said at the top, tonight we're going to be talking about the parenting bullshit our partners pull. You like that? A little alliterative. The B is almost like a P, so that it works. I'm working overtime on that one. I do want to say we want to thank everybody for listening. I know the last episode was a little bit delayed because of some technical difficulties on Pete's end with his computer, but we finally got it out the other day. Go check that out. It's about the history of parenting. It was actually a pretty interesting topic, and we were pretty serious throughout it, although we did mention furries at some point, so that was fun. And Pete did a Michael Caine impression, which was actually started poorly, but it came back around pretty strong. So this week, we're going to be insulting each other mostly, or fine, complaining about each other. What are you looking at, lady?
Notes. Get on with it.
Focus up. So before we get into that, I want to thank everybody for listening. You can hear us on Apple, Spotify, everywhere else get your podcasts. You can listen. You can even watch on YouTube if you want to see my sweet Dolphins hat as they hit 5-3 and around the corner to try to make the playoffs 2 a time. And you can leave individual or comments on individual episodes. As always, want to thank everybody who throws us reviews and ratings on Spotify and Apple, and especially people who throw money in on Patreon and Anchor. Going to run through them like I always do. Ryan Miller on MS Buying on Anchor. Molly Robertson, Check Your Kid to the Door. Chris Coleman, MC Daniel, Mallory McKenzie, Miriam, and Tina Davis are the first tier of Anchor. And then the rest are Rob Gilberry, Lindsay Woodruff, Andrea Sandoval, Barbara Geiger, Bill D'Amica, Dana Bosday. She's a very loyal follower. Jacques Govar, Morning Glow, Cotton Farmer AZ, Wes Clark, Jennifer Wynn, Julie McCarthy, Paula Polsky, Mary Williams, and Julie Burton. Thank you, one and all. I don't know how many of these people contributed complaints about their spouses, but I'm sure a couple of them did, because a handful of these people are really loyal commenters. And a couple of people send me DMs, because I encourage people, if it's too long, send me a DM. But then when I get so many comments, I don't always end up going to my DM. So if you sent me a DM, there's a good chance I'm not going to read it today. Apologies in advance. So before we get into other people's comments, I did want to ask Heather, I want to hear the hierarchy, 10-1, starting from the thing that least bothers you to the thing that most bothers you about my parenting. Let's hear it.
About parenting. I can't do all 10. I mean, I think that
you heard it here, folks. She does not have 10 complaints about me.
No, it's just very hard to rank on the spot. That being said, I think that we all know number one, which is I guess the reverse of what you're saying. One is, I think you go 0 to 60 and you will yell quicker than the situation demands. And that, especially with our kids who are sensitive, especially an ADHD kid, it often makes the whole house tailspin, and then it becomes a bigger deal than it had to be, in my honest opinion.
So I am the cause of and solution to all of our family's problems, is what you're saying. I send our home.
Remind me on the solution part.
She said, you said, I send our entire family into a tailspin. What a wonderful thing to hear.
Let's just get started. Let's go strong.
I think we just did. You're sending this whole episode into a tailspin. So as I said at the top, I realized after I got all of these responses that there are a lot more women, at the very least, willing to complain about their partners than there are men. I don't know that that necessarily makes women more dissatisfied or more angry, but they're certainly more vocal. And it's also because I have mostly women followers, but I do think that holds to be true in general. But maybe that's just because we're not pulling our weight out there, guys. Maybe this is a teaching moment. It's what this episode's all about. It's a teaching moment for men and just spouses who get complained about to work on themselves.
The more you know.
Wow. And knowing is half the battle.
So are we going to get started on this? I feel like this whole top 10 idea is more like, as we hear from other people, I'm sure I will be able to relate, and we can.
All right. Well, okay. So here you go. Can you relate to this? Brickner's baby doll _90 said, and the question I asked was, what do you hate most about? What stuff do you hate most about your spouse's parenting or your partner's parenting? And Brickner's baby doll _90 said, everything, period. He tries, but it's honestly never right. It's actually quite funny, not gonna lie. And I think first of all, I think trying is by far the most important part. The second most important part is that she thinks it's funny. Because if he was failing at everything,
good adaptive.
If he was really failing at everything and she didn't think it was funny, then that would be a recipe for disaster. But I think effort is the main thing. Nobody is good at this from the start, and I would say, in a lot of cases, women adapt or take to parenting a little bit more naturally than some men, although that's certainly not entirely true. There's plenty of women out there who hate parenting as much as I do.
Well, I think that, and as you know, there's plenty of things about parenting I hate. And I will be, walking away from the kid and I'll be like, that little pain in the ass teacher under my breath. Like, even if I not saying it to their face. I'm cursing them behind their back.
Yes. Well, you often curse in their faces as well. You often curse in their faces as well. Not at them, just around them.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that.
I know you
feel
don't.
like whatever. It's just not one of my goals.
Yeah, you fly that fuck flag.
What? That I feel it's a little harsh to say nothing. I'm glad that they
Well, she didn't say nothing. She said everything. She said everything.
Right. I'm sorry.
Makes her annoyed or angry.
Everything. Because there is some subjectiveness, right, to like what you think is right or wrong.
Sure, but I don't think
that being said, I mean, as long it sounds like they have a good rapport about it, and that's what matters. If they can laugh through it, and I can agree that there are definitely things that I've seen you do that I'm like, are you insane? Like, especially when you have like a baby or something, you know what I mean? I remember like you had no idea how to change a diaper. It was just like you had no idea, and I was like,
why would I?
How do you not know?
What do you mean? You had younger sisters and younger siblings. I didn't. I wasn't around any babies my entire life. Why would I have any idea?
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I get the point, but it's just mind-blowing in the moment that I'm like, dude. And that was funny. Some of those things were really funny. It's just like watching a monkey with a baby, you know?
No, what was funny was before we even had kids of our own, and our good friends Brendan and Jamie had their kid, and we were at their house for like their holiday party or for a football game or something. This is when we still lived in Boston. And I grabbed their kid who was like 10 months old. And when he was
9 months old, I would say.
Had one of those helmets on because like a lot of kids, we knew a ton of kids just because the way they slept, the doctors gave them helmets to reshape their heads. And I was holding this kid, and I think I was in like an Eagles jersey or something, and someone I was holding him, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with the baby, and I just set him on his feet and let go, and he just went timber.
Totally, the kid just fell like a rock, just face down to the ground because 9-month-olds can't walk.
So this is not only a situation that could have ended my friendship with people that I'd known for quite a long time, including, Brendan, who I'd known since freshman year of college. But it also could have ended my freedom. Like, that's potentially manslaughter right there with what I'm doing. But he was wearing the helmet.
Yeah,
and when he hit, the helmet broke his fall and stopped his face. Stopped his face from
flat head. And in Brendan and Jamie's defense, he was definitely in a Patriots jersey. Come on. Yeah. You know what they would have.
I'm not saying, look, nobody's saying he didn't deserve it. I'm just saying I didn't know that he couldn't stand at the moment. The kid is perfectly fine. He's perfectly healthy.
He's a very smart kid. Yeah. Comically bad, though. Comically bad moment.
But on my part, not on his. He was actually quite a trooper. So, okay, I thought these next two. So I tried to break these into a little bit of categories, but mostly it broke down to random stuff, which we'll start to run through a little bit at the end. But these two kind of went together pretty well. Adriana Bitz, B-I-T-Z, said she gets frustrated with her husband, who, when he comes home, he gets frustrated with the kids after 15 minutes of being with them, after she's been with them all day. And she's like, no, you don't get to, like, object after 15 minutes when you've got this tiny sample size with it, when I've been in hell with these gremlins. I heard somebody on Instagram referred to them as womb gremlins. For those that have never heard that before.
You like that one?
I did like that one. So I think women, or even whoever's at home with the kids, gets really frustrated if they've been dealing with this shit all day, and then someone else swoops in and then gets pissed off in 15 minutes. You think that about me sometimes back when I was leaving the house for work, which hasn't been the case since March.
Yeah, well, either that, and there's a lot of memes I know that go around about that. So I don't think it's I think a lot of people relate. But
go ahead.
Yes, getting irritated. The other thing that actually bothers me, and actually sometimes still applies, because as you know, when you're working, you're really busy, and you're pretty much like in your office, you're in your space, you're working. So I'm dealing with most of the homeschool. Not to say you don't help when you can, and the kids all day. But then it'll be like quitting time for work. So now you can finally turn off your computer, power down. But that's also like dinner time for kids and the witching hour when kids go insane. And you'll like lay down on the bed and look at your phone. And I'll be like, are you fucking kidding me?
I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm tired.
You almost did it. So we got another comment which I thought went pretty well with the Adriana Bitz's one, which is notes from Gail. she says she gets frustrated at her husband when he takes charge of the room where she's been wrangling the kids all day. She gets annoyed that he doesn't ask for an assessment first. So he's supposed to come in and see what's going on, and then for whatever reason he's like, all right, we're doing this, or you're in trouble for that, or I don't even know.
I'm confused by this one.
So am I. And sometimes when I get something that's confusing, I purposely don't ask the person for an explanation. I can do that through Instagram. Sometimes I just want to act like there's no real reason for it and complain, which is what I'm going to do right now. So she expects him to walk in and like she's like the foreman at the construction site, and he's supposed to be like, excuse me, you know, what's the status here? What's going on with the kids?
Right.
What can I do? What can't I do?
Where are we at?
I'm sort of close.
Usually, like, it's pretty evident where we're at, and it's usually shit show o'clock by the time the other person gets home from work, in my experience.
Yeah, well, as we said at the top, you know, subtlety is not exactly your middle name, so I can usually tell pretty easily, you know, what the lay of the land is. So probably the most popular one, so many people listed it, I'm not even going to say any of their names, was they get irritated with their partner, usually the guy, for riling the kids up right at bedtime, like doing WrestleMania or wrestling with them or going crazy and like getting the kids all jacked up right at bed, which is when everybody's at the end of their rope and wants to settle down and wants alone time, wants the kids to be out of there. This doesn't happen in our house.
No,
because
it does not. I will say 1,000,000%. You're in more of a stagnant position. You're not riling anyone up.
First of all, the kids don't need riling up.
I mean, you help with the actual bedtime, but it's more like, go the fuck to sleep. Good night. And then that's it.
No, that was last night because I was pissed off. But it does take a long time. But with the bedtime routine, and I imagine when you get the kids all adrenalized and going crazy, it's even worse. Our kids don't need riling up. They're naturally just like live wires between like 6:30 and 9.
I will say that like at nighttime, they always get all amped up for some reason. I think like, you know, maybe it's them getting loopy or whatever it is, but they want to play attack with you. They want to wrestle with you. And you're like, that's the last thing on earth I would like to do right now. So this is not a problem we have.
At the end of a long day of parenting or working or doing both, you know, I'm not normally in the mood to be like, you know, that's when I'm spent. And for some reason, they have more energy than ever. And I am not. Homie, don't play that, as the kids say these days.
Yeah, that's what the kids say these days. That's right.
Homie, don't play that.
Probably most of this audience don't even know what you're talking about.
Has no idea what I'm talking about.
Zero idea.
Homie, don't play that. So another popular one was, and this was the men and the women both chimed in on this one. They're irritated when their partner, husband, spouse, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, octopus, contradicts what they said to the kids. And I can definitely understand that. If I say yes to something and you say yes to something and I say no. Miss Zamudio, Zanudio, says, after I tell our son no right in front of my husband tells him yes. Now that, I think, is less about discipline and more about like marital warfare, right? Like you're doing that on purpose, whether you're trying to exert control and earn favor with the kid or you just want to, you know, it's just an FU to the man, you know?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to go therapy on the couple. I think there could be, for instance, like, you know, a situation of like, okay, can I have a cookie, Mom? No. And the dad will be like, oh, it's okay. It's just one cookie. Have a cookie. Like, it could be like that. Not, you know, I understand the concern, but it doesn't have to be like some deep-seated manipulation.
Okay, that's true. Fair point. Michelle Sutters doesn't like when her partner overrules her with the kids. Will043 says, when I say yes or no to something and she says the opposite, so now I just say, go ask your mom, which is effective. But the opposite happened to Calm Dan J. He says he gets irritated at the go ask dad comment when it's clearly something the mom doesn't want to answer. Let somebody else handle this one. Go ask your dad. And I think both moms and dads are guilty of doing that.
Now, I feel like I give you the floor because I think in between the like saying no or contradicting the spouse or the go ask dad, you got something in here you could put on the table.
I could complain about you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know what it is. I have nothing to complain about, honey.
In this topic arena,
I can't. There's only one.
About truth.
My primary complaint, I don't know if this is what you're talking about, and I've talked about it on this podcast before. My primary complaint is when you criticize my parenting in front of the kids. That's my number one complaint. I don't think it quite falls under this category. I don't know what you're getting at with this category. If you want to add more complaints to my file, hear it. What do you got?
Okay, fair enough. I think it's a little harsh to say I criticize your parenting, but yes, I will be like, calm down. You know what I mean? I'm not usually in your face and just going on some diatribe in front of the kids of like, what's wrong with you? But I understand that, yes, that I will try to simmer you down usually is my approach. And obviously it's not always the best approach.
No, it is never the best approach. How about that?
It's my apologies, but it's for the listeners at home. It's not like I break out a whiteboard and start talking about.
You literally created a meme showing somebody with a whiteboard marking points off between.
That was about your cleaning specifically, and I stand by that one.
That's a separate topic. Fussy Britches 1 doesn't like it when her partner disagrees with her in front of the kids. I agree with that, but it depends. You know, if you're calling out somebody's parenting like Mama very often does to me, that's one thing. But you can have a disagreement. It kind of depends on, you know, how you handle the discussion in front of the kids, and you can model kind of good communication and problem solving. And, you know, arguing is part of any relationship, even a successful marriage, you know, so kids can understand that. Look at me. I'm coming with the wisdom.
Okay. I would say disagreeing in front of the kids. You're right. No, everybody argues. That's why it's like open. Might as well talk about it. Disagreeing in front of the kids. I think a lot of times we're fairly good at that. Like we do it a little bit subtly. And okay, never mind.
We'll have to record it next time. So this is one you mentioned at the top. The next category is yelling too much. You mentioned this at the top. I certainly will cop to that. I yell too often. But in my defense, as LAMINA-NYC says, her partner insists she doesn't yell at her 4-year-old. And she says, is that even possible to not yell at a 4-year-old? And I submit, no, it is not possible to not yell at your kids. And I'm sure there's people out there who are going to send me, you know, the non-yelling solution to good parenting and all this crap. I don't care. I yell a little bit. I yell too much. I'm working on it. Get off my back, honey. I see you staring at me.
You do yell too much. And you have like a very powerful voice. And like I said, you have sensitive kids. I particularly think that our 4-year-old, like when you yell at him, he's 4 and it's very new to him. And I think yelling at a 4-year-old might be a little bit much because his offenses are usually fairly minor.
What about when he tells me?
We had a fight about this last night.
What about when he tells me to my face that he doesn't like me?
Well, that's because you yelled at him.
That's, you know what? It's the chicken and the egg, folks.
Yeah,
I don't know that we'll ever get to the bottom of it. Andrea Bjarn, BJARN, says that she gets irritated when her partner hollers from afar and thinks the kids will listen. Our kids do that to us. Our oldest is constantly yelling at us from far away in the house, and it is so irritating. And we made the mistake of getting more than one Alexa Echo product. So now he uses them as intercoms throughout the house. Our house is not big enough to need intercoms, right? The point of using them as intercoms is to like have some separation and to be quiet. He uses them and yells through them, which just makes even the yelling worse. Everything about it.
The fact he yells through them is a bit much. Well, and I like it for like if he's downstairs and he's like, Mom, I have a break in class. I want a sandwich, or can you bring me a snack?
Why can't he just use a bell?
That was the
slave.
Goal. Huh?
Bring me my sandwich. Bring me my sandwich, slave. He just needs a bell.
No, I like it for that. Or if I'm checking in with him even today, or it's like checking and he's like, I'm in a meeting, whatever. I like it for those purposes. When it's something like just completely ridiculous and repeated is where it goes wrong. But I also hated him yelling up like a flight of stairs from the other side of the downstairs. And it's just like, and he'll do it for a whole conversation. And
the
I'm
good
like,
news
and then
is,
it ends with me screaming like, "Come here if you want to talk."
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's the good news is he yells from downstairs and we yell at him to stop yelling and to come up. And it's just really,
exactly.
This is the tailspin. This is the tailspin you were talking about. So another big category was arguments over discipline, right? Fox's mama, Foxs mama, says that her partner is very quick with criticism and way too slow to praise and celebrate. I don't want to get off topic, off the subtopic of the show, which is about how I'm terrible at parenting. So let's talk about how that is very much one of the complaints you have about me, that I don't praise the kids enough, especially our eldest, and I'm really quick with the criticism. It's just because I expect more from a varsity letterman. I got high hopes for my kids.
I realize it, but a rule of thumb, because harkening back to that ADHD episode, is because of the anxiety they have and the low self-esteem. They say basically for every time you are saying something negative to an ADHD kid, you should give 10, it doesn't have to be a party in his honor, but 10, reinforcements of celebrating positive things. And I mean, I try, and I know I fall short of certainly the 10 number for every single negative
that's
thing.
hard, man.
But you're working on trying to do more of that, because we do see that he lights up when he gets that, and that's sometimes hard to do, especially this year with all the everything.
It makes sense because my love language is words of affirmation, right? So I light up as well when I get a compliment. Don't give me compliments, people. It makes me very uncomfortable. But inside, my heart glows like E.T. So this big list of disciplinary, calm down. This big list of
as people say, you don't smile. I'm
supposed to know your multiple love languages, and you don't even know my primary one.
No, I know it. I know what it is, but saying you glow inside is not my experience, but it's good to hear.
It was a joke. I don't have insides. Dreamstar_TT says her partner ignores annoying behavior until he ultimately explodes and makes ridiculous punishments that he won't follow through with. And then she ends up dealing with the aftermath while he goes back to ignoring shit.
Interesting.
You have something to say?
Yeah, I got things to say.
Are these all
number two?
Are these
still
all
doing the list?
Did you use 30 aliases, fake dummy Instagram accounts just to criticize me?
I set up 30, what are they called? What do you call a fake Instagram?
Finsta.
30 Finstas just to complain about you on paper. This one, though, first of all, annoying behavior, you don't ignore it. You'll be immediately stop doing that thing.
It's annoying.
I think it becomes white noise at this point.
Someone else says that later. Yeah. Here. Allie Fraser 921 says, why can't he tune out their crying and whining by now like I do? Which is kind of what you were talking about.
Well, yeah, especially our kid will be fidgety, or he'll just be making weird noises or whatever, and you'll get annoyed by it. And I'm like, dude, that's the least of my complaints. I'm not even gonna. It is not a hill I'm willing to die on. That's how I feel a lot of times.
We're different people.
And you're ready to take every hill. Bring on the battles.
Not every hill. Not every hill. If they leave the milk downstairs again, though, it's going to be Bunker Hill.
Things with oh, my God. You with the milk. The ridiculous punishments, yes, 1,000,000% all the time. You will be you're to the 4-year-old yesterday, you're going to be punished. And then you walked away, and I'm just no. You have no plans.
This was when you criticized my parenting in front of the kids. This is where we.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last night we had an argument where we hit all the notches, just check all those.
Yeah, it was great.
Us. So we're really nailing it. But I will say,
enjoyed it.
You will say you're going to be punished or whatever, and not follow through. And I think that personally, I mean, and they do say this in the books, back when I read the books, is that the biggest problem with that is they're just not going to believe you. And then you're hurting yourself. They're
the
just
crying
like,
wolf.
I know better. So fuck it. I'm going to do this all the time. I don't care what he says. He's not going to do it.
A couple of people said the same thing, that their partner threatens punishments but then doesn't follow through, and I have long said that my biggest problem as a parent, aside from the yelling and the quick with criticism and not following through and making ridiculous punishments and aside from all that.
I'm like choking on my cocktail here. But yeah, besides from those things, yes.
Is the lack of consistency with my messaging, with my reactions. And I think that is kind of really maybe one of the most important things, because if kids kind of know what to expect, that's both it's positive in terms of how they behave, but it's like safety for them too. They're not blindsided and they're not so unsettled, but it can still cause, positive things.
I mean, I think you've even done this in reverse. I remember one morning you being like, that's it. I am writing a list. I am writing a list of the rules. And if you break the rules, you don't get any screens. You have to talk about this list. How's that list coming? How's it coming?
All right. So the next topic is somebody just said it's not so much what my spouse or my partner does. It's more what they don't do. Mom_boss_XX says he does nothing and it drives me crazy. Yes, that would drive me crazy.
Yeah,
Lazy Bumble says, I like how specific this one is. He never brushes our daughter's hair. He just puts a tie in the bottom and it looks like a nest. First of all, is that my mom? Because my mom likes to call messy hair nests. Lazy Bumble,
I don't believe. My mom would too, because she would say I don't brush my hair when I was like, I don't know, old enough to brush my hair, and she would say that. It looks like a rat's nest is what she would say, a rat's nest.
This one goes with it, because Beverly Jane 42 says she gets annoyed when her partner dresses their kids in ill-fitting and mismatched clothes to go out somewhere. I do that, not necessarily, I don't do it on purpose, but I don't care if their PJs are matched or if their clothes are matched for the most part. If we're going to Thanksgiving or to get our pictures taken, sure. But otherwise, who gives a shit? It's a 4-year-old, even an 8-year-old. Who cares what this kid's wearing?
Okay, this is how we solve this problem, Beverly Jane. I lay out the clothes, and Dad and Barry will dress him. First of all, I would never trust you to dress him for Thanksgiving for sure, please.
When I do dress them, you immediately change their clothes. So what is the point?
That's why I lay it out now like I'm working with a toddler. And I'm not talking about the toddler.
Yeah, honestly. Unbelievable. All right. So, look, there were some recurring themes and stuff. We mentioned a few of them. But most of the complaints and the ones that I got the most kick out of were some random ones. Now, again, this isn't a marriage complaint podcast episode, but I thought this was funny when Marty Mark 242 says when his wife is making cup of noodles or ramen for the kids, she uses the microwave instead of boiling the water. For some reason that drives him crazy. We've started using the microwave for the ramen. When I was growing up, when I was making it for myself as a bachelor, eating my gourmet ramen, I always used the stove. But now I don't care. What do my kids care? The quicker the better. Less dishes, cheaper dishes.
Honestly, if the kid's eating like 20-cent ramen, what the hell's boiling the water gonna do? I mean, it's fucking ramen. Just put it in the microwave. It's over for you.
Why even put water in it at all? Just make the kids a cracker. Eat it.
Seriously, just whatever.
And snort the seasoning packet.
Yeah, here's your sodium.
Xana Rudolph.
And to be fair, I want Marty Mark to know that we let our kid eat ramen. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying let's have the standards lowered a bit.
This isn't some kind of like moral judgment on what you're feeding your kids, but I don't think it matters if you're using the microwave or the oven, your Viking stovetop. So Xana Rudolph, and look, before I read her comment, I do want to say I don't condone this. I think it can send negative messages to kids in terms of respecting women and your wife and their mom. But I also think it's hilarious. She gets annoyed.
I don't like this one at all.
She gets annoyed at her partner for making the crazy twirly hand gesture to the kids when she's talking to them. So whenever she's being like, all right, kid, you got to do this. And he's going, coo. Yeah. Coo. I mean, look, it's funny, but I understand you don't want your kids to grow up with that kind of
I have to say, when I read that note earlier and I pictured it in my head, I would literally murder you if you ever fucking did that. That would piss me off so much because it's showing disrespect towards your mother. And you know what?
And women.
Xander Rudolph, fucking punch him next time he does it. Like, this
so
is
that's why I prefaced that with the disclaimer. I know that it could potentially have bad consequences, you know, but I also think the image of it happening is sort of funny in the moment.
Maybe sort of funny, but if I were a judge and you murdered him for that, I'd be like, case over.
Well,
like,
you know
absolutely.
What? Xander Rudolph, maybe she better hope you go to law school.
Justice was served.
So Mountain Bound 84, MTN_bound 84 says that her spouse or her partner uses noise canceling earphones to drain out screaming kids. Oh. This guy just sounds like a genius. I just want to hang out with him.
Interesting.
What?
So ever since like quarantine began and you're home all the time, you will have earpods in all the time. I will talk to you for 5 minutes and then I'm like, are you listening to a fucking podcast?
Hold on a second. I'll have one in, and it's usually when I'm either emptying the dishwasher, which I do exclusively, or doing the dishes because our dishwasher is now broken, which I do exclusively, or sometimes folding the laundry or doing the laundry. It's usually almost always while I'm doing a mundane task of some kind, or running to the corner store to get you a vitamin water or some Junior Mints or something. So yeah, I'm guilty of it sometimes. I'm not using it to drown out the kids. I'm multitasking when I have a minute.
Okay. You know, kudos on the dishes, because I know that some people would complain their spouse does not do that. It is usually cleaning up one of the 3 meals I end up making most of the fucking time because it's goddamn quarantine. So, fair enough. Sometimes you will just leave them in, though, indefinitely. And maybe sometimes you don't even have something on.
I don't.
It gets to the point that I assume you do, and I get sick of talking to you.
It's a win-win.
You win that one.
I had a friend who used to every once in a while, if he was at a bar after work, like waiting for his buddies to get off their work and come meet him, he would just have headphones in so no one would talk to him, even with nothing playing. I don't know why you wouldn't have anything playing. Ashley, this is kind of goes along with that. Ashley AV01 leaves me in the trenches taking grenades, aka hears me struggling and hides. So Mountain Bound, her partner is avoiding duties by blocking the kids out with that genius method of noise canceling earphones. This guy is just Ashley Ava's guy, or Ashley Ave is just running away, apparently.
I mean, I love that phrase, leaves me in the trenches taking grenades. I mean, kudos to that one. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know. Have you ever done that?
No, but I have done this next one, and they all kind of go together in terms of like husbands kind of shirking their responsibilities a little bit.
I will say one thing to the grenades thing. A time or two, I've gotten into the shower, and I take fairly quick showers, unlike Down and Buried, who disappears for 45 minutes.
Look, you got me the beer caddy.
Pretty much, huh?
You got me the shower beer caddy, so it's on you.
That's true. Like, my shower is like, oh my God, quick, before someone comes in, wash quickly, and like, you know. So I know a time or two, I've been in the shower for whatever reason, something goes down out here, and I'll be like, I'll take a minute.
See if I show up, you mean?
Well, I'll just like say I can elongate this shower for a minute or two. I don't need to be out there.
Yeah. You like to make yourself a martyr sometimes by running out and doing it and then complaining that you had to run out and do it. Guess what? You didn't have to, okay? But Coles227 says when she asks her husband to do something, it really annoys her when he says, but they want you. First of all, it's often the case. That's often the case. My kid fell down on the stairs today, and I immediately Johnny on the spot to comfort him. And I'm like, oh, are you okay? You want some ice? You want something? He goes, no, I want snuggles from mommy in the other room. And I got to bring him to you and drop him off like a goddamn taxi service because daddy's hugs aren't nice enough. Give me a break. Yeah, they want you.
Okay.
It's a double-edged sword for both of us.
No. Okay, so I don't mind when they want me for cuddles or kiss a boo-boo.
Of course you don't.
I get that. That's fine. But the thing that it's kind of related to this, you don't quite do that. You know, they want you. But sometimes I'll walk in and be like, you know, have they brushed your teeth yet? Like maybe I was doing something else. And you were like, nope, they don't want to. Or
give me
I
a
told
break.
them they didn't do it. And I'll be like, you're the fucking father.
This is some bullshit.
Just make them do it.
That
you
is
do
bullshit.
this.
No, it's not that. It's not that I'm taking their word as answer, like, oh, no, they don't want to, so we're not going to do it. It's more like they're giving me a problem, so I'm holding off rather than going berserk on them for giving me the problem. So I'm just giving it a few minutes. But I want to get back to this. Our 4-year-old is potty trained, but he can't yet wipe his own butt. 99.5% of the time, I'm the butt wiper. Can we just agree? Can we agree? I do the dishes. I do the laundry. I'm wiping butts. I need to get some damn credit around here. I'm wiping butts
I like
left
the
and
whole
right.
you wipe his ass, but he won't snuggle you.
Oh my God, this is the most depressing podcast I've ever heard. I'm this little jerk servant. I wipe the kid's ass, and he says, "I don't like you," and makes me deliver him to you for snuggles. God damn it. So,
No,
Danny H824 says she gets annoyed when her husband asks her what the kids want to eat instead of asking them, because they're 6 and 3 and can speak for themselves. I'm on her husband's side because I don't care what my kids want to eat. You get what you get and you don't get upset, right?
Sure.
Oh, please. I'm just saying.
I mean, lately, I'm pretty much the one who makes breakfast all the time.
I wrote a blog post years ago about how kids' opinions are worthless. And when a kid tells you what he wants to do that day, like fucking go to the zoo, guess what? We're not going to the zoo. We're doing something that we can handle, right? The zoo's fucking closed, Ray, right?
Okay, but let's be honest. I want to take them to the zoo, so we just end up going to the zoo anyway.
This is the problem.
I know. I'm too invested as a parent.
That is a problem. So this is a great one. Golly G Gilly with a G says what annoys her is his lack of awareness about where the kids are. The baby could disappear and he wouldn't know. Well, here's hoping the baby doesn't disappear. That was funny. This is something I do sometimes. Becca171622 says her kid will ask the dad where stuff is and he will just give her off the wall answers. So just like instead of answering, he'll just say some nonsense, which on one hand could, set the kid up for failure later in life if she thinks like, babies come from winning video games or some bullshit, right? Like if she honestly believes the stuff that he's saying.
Right.
But if he's just saying nonsense to give her a couple of, shits and giggles, I don't have a problem with it. You don't have an opinion on that?
No, I mean, what Dad and Barry does here is not necessarily off the wall answers, but he's got the 4-year-old just spouting out random ass movie quotes from like the 90s where the kid, I'll ask the kid a question and I hear like, the fly is on the money box. I'm like, what
no one knows the fly is in the money box. The absolute best is lately I've got him doing, are you sure about that 5 minutes from my cousin Vinny? Are you sure about that 5 minutes? My cousin Vinny. He said, do the laws of physics cease to exist on your stove?
Okay.
When it takes the rest of the world 15 to 20 minutes to cook their grits? Are you sure about that 5 minutes? God, that movie's great. I can watch that right now. Sarah._Ortega_ says that her partner always forgets our kids' ages. Man, you were there when they were made and born. I thought that was a funny line that she said that. I don't think it's about not remembering the moments, the events. But,
I don't you remember their birthdays, right?
Yeah, I remember my kids' birthdays. I'm an excellent father and husband. But I'm saying I don't blame this dude, right? I forget my own age sometimes.
Yeah, no, I do too.
Yeah.
But that's only to my advantage at this point.
Faye K. Rue says she's annoyed that her partner gives her daughter chocolate whenever she cries. So that's going to start a complex. But it is a good solution. I hope she's like a baby and he just shoves it in her mouth. That would be funny. Kimmy G. Smith, this is good. Her partner asks the kids about things she's trying to make them forget about, which I think is good. Like, why you got to bring that up? I had the kid calm down because sometimes the kids won't stop asking for things. And if you can distract them and get them to forget about it, and then somebody else comes in.
Well, I think like a lot of parents, right, will promise something and be like, well, later we'll go to the playground. Later we'll go to the playground. So if you were to walk in and be like, hey, when are you going to the playground? And be like, God damn it. We're past that.
Well, that's funny because CLMF 100 says that her partner tells the kids about grand plans when there's a chance they might not happen, which is kind of the same thing. Like, it's better to not bring this stuff up and like maybe spring it on the kids than get them excited about it. Because when Saturday comes around and you're hungover and you don't want to do it, the last thing you need is them crying because you promised. Oh my God, I hate hearing our kids say that we promised about something because we haven't promised. We're almost always honest and being like, maybe we'll see, but they take that as an ironclad blood oath.
Oh, if you say the words, it's an ironclad blood oath. So, yeah, that's tricky. You just have to just bring it on them.
So this is a complaint that you probably agree with, although I heard this from both genders, both husbands and wives. More to Kai says he is on the toilet all the time.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe he has IBS or something. It's no laughing matter.
I mean, I've actually never heard the complaint of a man saying the wife is on the toilet all the time. That's surprising to me. Because that's just, I mean, I think the women should probably get that checked out. With the men, we just know it's them being assholes. You know?
Wow. Wow.
You will disappear. Like I said, your showers will take an extraordinary amount of time.
My
and
undercarriage, the undercarriage takes some time to clean. That's where the showers.
I definitely walked in and been like, okay, it's unhealthy to just sit on a toilet this long.
Why are you walking in? Why are you walking in? It's just, I demand privacy.
I knew you were going to say that immediately. Because you know what? Somewhere in that 45 minutes, I have to get shit out of the bathroom. You know?
You know what?
Everyone should have a rule because everyone knows that they do it or their spouse does it.
Not all the men.
They bring their fucking iPhone or their phone in the bathroom, and we all know what you're doing. You can't scroll Instagram and take a dump. I just don't think it's physically possible. I think there should be a law.
Are you serious?
That the phone cannot go in the bathroom because one, it's a distraction, and two, it's just fucking gross.
First of all, you do it.
Yeah.
Second of all, everybody does it. If I put up a poll, it would be like 83%, except for the people who are scared to admit it, like Trump voters.
Cease that. We should just call that off.
Well, we're a nation of phone shitters, Heather. Get it?
Yeah.
That's a little relationship callback for you and me. Earning some points back. That was pretty much it, unless there were any other comments or complaints you wanted to bring up, either on the list that I may have skipped or about me. I know you have a lot more, maybe some new ones that came up on this episode.
Somewhere in the middle when you were saying, you know, what I'm really bad about besides this and this and this, like you just dropped the top 10 right in the middle of this.
It was a joke.
Rewind, guys, and you can hear the top 10 complaints. But what about you? Do you want to throw some complaints out there for me?
Well, you complain about my parenting a lot more than I complain about yours. And then I said that my general major complaint, which is number one by far, is that you criticizing my parenting in front of the kids or criticizing a call I've made or something like that in front of the kids. But I mean, I don't remember.
I think saying criticizing a call that you've made, right, is maybe more accurate. I'm not going through all the ways you fail as a parent. And I think you're a great parent. I think sometimes we have different parenting styles, so sometimes we have to work with that.
Yeah, and I think both of us need to work on consistency. I think that's pretty much the hardest thing in parenting is locking that down, at least for me, and just being consistent with your punishments and the discipline and how things work, and you know, having routines for bedtime and all that stuff, so you can have some of that, which I think is very important, even more so for an ADHD kid. But when it comes to you, I think that sure, I'm maybe more quick to punish and criticize, and I don't necessarily always have a plan for it. But you are also more quick to you know, give leeway and let them do more stuff and get away with more stuff, which is probably why they like you better.
Well, maybe, possibly. I think, you know, everyone's like childhood informs their parenting. We're not going to go down that road.
Another episode. Problems. The next episode is problems you have with your own parents.
Right. Do that one. My family will never talk to me again. Not that they listen
No, please.
That being said, I will say, when you say the consistency and the yelling and da-da-da, I mean, we've laughed about it that Dad and Mary's like up here. He's at 10, 0 to 10, right? He's at 10 most of the time, where I might be at like 2, 2, 2, 2, 20.
Yes. Pete and I have talked about this. Both Pete's wife and yourself have, like, he and I operate at a low simmer / a boil, 7 to 10 pretty much at all times. And in both of our wives are at 1 or 2 95% of the time. But then when they explode, it's like, you can feel it in the entire neighborhood.
Like here, shit goes real bad real fast.
It's frightening.
But I will say that, every parent, should give themselves a bit of a break right now, because as far as consistency or anything, everyone is living through this time that is unfucking believable. I mean, a lot of us are with our kids and our spouse and everyone 24/7, 365. And it's definitely harder. Like, I've hit that 20 a lot more in the last 9 months than I've hit it in my entire life.
Well, you said fairly recently, you were like, I just feel like, I'm not being my best as a parent. My patience is shot. And I'm like, dude, we're with these kids every minute of every day, and we have been since March. Of course your patience is shot. Everybody's is, right? So that's just the way it is. I will admit,
I feel like I'm a much worse parent than I was in like February, and I think that's why that's really hard for a lot of parents, especially moms, get like the mom guilt. So I'm going to give you all a pass on not being the absolute gold star parent right now, or at least give you good company because I'm there with you. I don't know if that's better, but
solidarity. So that's kind of the main message I try to push on my Instagram, as well as you, whether it's with, other parents of kids with ADHD, other parents who happen to have MS or another kind of immune compromising disease like yours.
Which to those who don't know, I have,
Yeah, and other parents who are just at the end of their rope, or just regular everyday parents. It's we're all in it together, and let's never forget the kids are the true enemy, not each other.
Right. We're the team. Let's understand. MJ, I would say though, overall, we're pretty good together. We balance each other out, even if it's not always like.
Here's what we're gonna do. In 20 years, we will talk to our kids' therapists, and we'll find out who won, me or you.
I'm sure. Well, they won't be able to tell us because patient secrecy agreements or whatever they're called. But
no, it'd be like Don Draper.
I'm sure at some point over a bottle of wine at Thanksgiving, they'll just tell us anyway. So looking forward to it.
That will be fun. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. As always, you can find us both on Instagram, Dad and Buried and Mom and Buried. We have separate accounts. We're never gonna have a joint account. Deal with it.
We're not all weird.
No, we're not all weird. We're weird in our own unique ways. And you can find the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Please give us a rating and a review, and tell your friends. And check us out online. You can find us everywhere, not just Instagram. I'm even on TikTok, and it's almost chapstick season again, so I'm gonna get my TikTok cooking up. All chapstick all the time.
I'm not on TikTok. That place gives me seizures. So
we will catch you back here next week. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Bye.
I don't know why you would still be watching This Isn't a Marvel Movie, no matter how much I look like Paul Rudd, which you can deny it all you want. It's there in the eyes, I think. I'm young looking like him. If you enjoyed the podcast, which you obviously did or you wouldn't be listening still, sign up on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you want to listen to. Comment here on YouTube, subscribe, hit that like button. We want to hear from you. Comments, questions, dirty jokes, money, all the money you can give us. We'd love it all. Catch you next time.